Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. My name is Asli from Alpha Hair. Welcome back to my channel. Today we have reached almost 5 months, and before I share with you my hair transplant update, I want to share with you 5 common mistakes that people tend to do and things that I'm a victim of myself. In no particular order, we're going to share with you. Number 1 mistake is basically washing your hair very aggressive. I've made a dedicated video where I've washed my hair very aggressive, meaning that because I had a lot of downdraft throughout my hair transplant journey at the beginning stage, so I've literally aggressively washed my hair transplant after reaching somewhere around 1 month, and that has basically made me lose a lot of graft, and that gave me a lot of shock to it. So that was like some sort of a emotional disturbance. But this was something that I have done to myself. For those who've just had a hair transplant, I would urge you to not wash your hair very frequent, or to not remove your scabs. At least give it a break until day number 10 to day number 15. So after you've passed day number 15, you can start considering taking your scabs off. Mistake number 2 is taking too much graft in one area. So this means that you can see so many people, they complain that they have been over harvested, meaning that some people, they go for 6,000, 7,000 grafts in one area, or in one setting. So one setting meaning that in one procedure. This is too much. 5,000 to 5,500 max, in my opinion, that's the max you should go in one surgery, and you should allow at least 6 to 1 year before you start considering having a second hair transplant, if you are one of those people for a second round. The mistakes where I'm referring to here is not just taking the grafts, it's the fact that some clinics, they tend to take the donor area, certain areas, and they take too much instead of spacing it out. So if they take too much in one area, that's going to look really bad, and you start seeing patchy hair somewhere at the back of your head. So me, myself, I do have some sort of a patches at the back of my head, and this is because I've taken a lot of graft, which is the maximum my clinic would advise, 5,500. Mistake number 3 is that most of the people, they go straight ahead and get FUE hair transplant. I would suggest you to consider DHI. There are on the other side where people tend to get DHI and ignore FUE. So it's totally up to you where you want to go. DHI is the newly technique where people, they actually prefer, which stands for direct hair implantation. And DHI is more beneficial for those who are keeping their hair and they just want to have hair transplant implanted in blank areas. So that's where DHI finds it really useful. But for those who are bald or the front area like myself, so there was no hair at all, then those are the people that I would suggest FUE is a good way to go ahead, and it's a lot cheaper than DHI. Mistake number 4 is basically going to a super cheap clinics. This mistake is a very deadly costly. Most of the people like to save cost, but where you save cost, there's also consequences. Just like when people say, buy cheap, buy it twice. So you end up paying or digging your pocket a lot more. So why not just pay something decent up front and get something decent back? But again, do your research before you go. If you're traveling somewhere abroad from UK or USA or any other countries, it's already going to be cheap because Turkish conversion rate is going to be much different. In UK, I was quoted around 11,000, whereas where I've had my hair transplant in Turkey, 2,500, that was nothing compared to what I was quoted. So there you go. So it's not worth me going a lot more cheaper than other clinics. This video is not sponsored by them. I'm not saying that this specific clinic that I went to are the best. There are some other clinics, but this is where I have had my hair transplant, Asli Tarcan, and I've had good feedback and good results so far, apart from my donor feels like I've been over harvested. And with that said, we're going to move on to tip number 5 that relates to your donor area. Most of the people, they end up having hair transplant without actually considering, is their donor area fit for purpose? Meaning, some people have a donor area very weak. So if you look at your donor area, you can straight away tell if you have a lot of hair or if you've got weak donor area. If you do have a weak donor hair, then I would suggest you to postpone your surgery until your hair feels a lot more stronger. Because the reason I'm saying this is because in your grafts at the back of your hair, you would see each graft comes with 1, 2, 3, or 4. So in most cases, people tend to have 2 or 3. So if you have a healthy donor area that's above 3, then definitely you should go ahead. But if you do have each spot of graft of your hair 1 or 2, then you know that your graft, you're going to need a lot more hair in order to feel like you have more dents. So the more donor area they take from the back, then the more you're going to lose out in your donor area. So again, this is something you should consider before you have your hair transplant. Basically, I wasn't sure if I should add this mistake number 6 or not, although that I feel like this is a common mistake, but this is coming from the more practical side of it, where the technician who's implanting your hair, mistake number 6 is where they implant so much hair at the front and leave in the middle or the back empty. This is really bad because when they implant a lot of hair in one area, what happens is that there's not enough oxygen circulation of your hair. And then because you've been bald for so many years, so those areas, it starts to basically trying to take a lot of blood from other areas, especially with your PRP and other type of your blood cells. It's trying to feed your hair, but it's too much. So those cells, they end up dying. So if those cells end up dying, your grafts are gone and you've just wasted some time, money, and you went through a lot of pain. This is something that I would urge a lot of people who are having hair transplant done to not have so much hair in certain areas. So most of the technicians should strictly follow a calculated math where how much hair can go per square meter. So if they're not following that, then obviously they're just giving you a rip-off where you know that after a certain period of time, your grafts will fall out because there's lack of oxygen in those areas, and that will be useless to your hair. Without further ado, let me give you a quick 360 update. And so this is how I look like month number 5. And the hair has started to grow a lot more. You can see the side here, the donor area is looking a lot less compared to the side. And then on the other side, you can see there is a great difference at the back. You can see the hair is starting to grow, and this is month number 5. At the top, you can see the front is looking a lot more dense than the middle, and this is because this is where I'm starting to lose my hair, is starting to thin. And these are my original hairs, and this is the new implanted hairs. And you can see that there's going to be a lot of difference in terms of the hair because the donor area was a lot more stronger. And then the middle areas here is where the hairs are starting to thin. Well, we just made to the end of today's video. If you find it useful, do give us a like and also subscribe for more videos like this. I would urge you to watch this specific video where it talks about the untold truth about hair transplant and also the type of supplements you could take to enhance your hair transplant journey. Till next time, stay legend.